Welcome to the MBA Jam Podcast with your host, Avinash Bajaj.
Hi folks, welcome to another show of the MBA Jam. Today's guest is someone who has finished his MBA last year, so he brings along a much fresher perspective of finishing the MBA course. He did his MBA from one of the premium institutions in India called Management Development Institute, popularly known as MDI Gurgaon. His name is Sanket Kshatriya, and he's currently the HR manager at Reliance. Sanket, welcome to the show.
Hi Avinash, how have you been doing? Thanks a lot for this opportunity to share my experience and enlighten some folks who are going to do their MBA.
Great, no problem at all. Thanks a lot. And just to let everyone know, Sanket is in India and it's 5:30, almost 5:30 p.m. on a Saturday evening. So Sanket, thanks a lot for spending your weekend evening with us.
It's okay as far as if I would have been one of the recipient 2 years back, it would have helped my MBA course. So why not help someone?
Great point. So, what do you usually do on Saturday evenings, Sanket?
Saturday evenings, I'm just waiting for this interview to get over and go out and chill with my friends. Because as I told, I work in a very remote place, so normally there's no civilization over there. So I come here 2 days to live in the civilization and go back and work.
Great.
So,
No, and thanks a lot for that. I'm sure I'll not keep you on for too long. So yeah, what was very interesting when I was speaking to you is you mentioned about where you work. Can you talk a little bit more about that, because I've never heard of that place before this.
so Reliance Industries is a very, very big name in India, but then majority of the people don't know the operations. So some of the statistics that I would like to throw are that we have the biggest oil refinery in the world in Jamnagar. So it's by biggest I mean it is bigger than Mumbai. It's a 100-kilometer big refinery. So this is in Jamnagar, and there are many other facilities. So I work in their mega plants, which is in Dahej. So Dahej is a place on the western part of India, just above Mumbai on the shore. Uh, Normally, all these plants are located near the shores to allow the flow of the raw materials which are required through the jetties and seaways, because majority of the things are exported and imported. So, so Dahej is located there, and we manufacture petrochemicals, and we have the largest plant of purified terephthalic acid, which is a fiber intermediate. So there are a lot of products which we manufacture, actually, which are petrochemicals. So we can go on and on with that. I hope I answered your question about this place called Dahej
No,
in Gujarat.
absolutely, and that sounds really interesting. So, how big is that facility in terms of number of people?
So in terms of people, right now there are approximately 5,500 employees who are working there, and there are four different categories of employees over there, and it's a 700 hectare long big plant. So we normally follow backward integration as a philosophy. So whatever products we produce, we try to make them as a raw material for our subsequent product, and we try to manufacture subsequent product as well, so that the cost of raw materials and sourcing them gets reduced totally. So that's how we function on the philosophy of backward integration.
Great. That sounds very interesting, because I've never been involved in that part of the world, or that part of the career aspect as such. So, how did you end up in that company?
So the B school placement process is something that I wish every individual just lived once in their life, because there are interviews which go on for till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the night, and then the results are announced at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Uh,
There are these professionals who are still on campus. So it was just one of those days, uh, where I was interviewed for an internship in this particular company, which is a mandatory part of the course in MDI or in Premier B or in Premier any Premier B schools.
mhm.
So I was interning there, and they liked my performance. They offered me a job, and I took that opportunity, I would say, because I love the place, and the main intention was that because this is the company that is eventually gonna offer me Mumbai at least after whatever 2-3 years. So I think getting back to hometown after your completion of MBA full circle is something that was helped me.
So have you always been in Mumbai?
But yeah, after engineering, I made it a point. It was a conscious call not to apply to any colleges of Mumbai because when you live in Mumbai, your life is like a cocoon. You get everything so good that you don't want to go outside. So majority of the Mumbaiites, they're like quite secure with whatever they have, and that's a fact because I've traveled across the country and I've traveled in a lot of countries. Mumbai has a soft spot, and nothing is like Mumbai. So I would say, being a pure Mumbaiker, that's something I would like to propagate for my city.
Great. So how was your time at Gurgaon after spending all your life in Mumbai?
So it was. I think it was one of the best decisions of my life to not to apply to any college of Mumbai. The day I entered MDI, I had my roommates. We were four of us. It's a compulsory residential course, so there were four of us, and just look at the formation of this particular room. Okay, one was from Delhi, one was from Kolkata, one was from Bangalore, and I was from Mumbai. So we had all four metropolitan cities of India together in one room for the first time, and that was the first time interaction I was having with them. So yeah, and then this was happening in Gurgaon, a place which is developing very fast, I would say, because a lot of companies having their headquarters there, but the infrastructure is still not developed. So people there are good, the facilities there are yet developing, and you know the part of Gurgaon in which we were in, our campus was like was like the shining light, I would say, because that area is still coming up, and our director had a good vision, and he identified that this place is gonna zoom up, and he rightly placed our campus in the perfect area, I would say.
Nice, nice. So how long was your MBA course? Is it 1 year or 2 years?
So a typical MBA course in India, the full time one is of 2 years with a mandatory internship of 2 months between the first year and second year. So it's a mandatory internship. Everyone has to take this internship, irrespective of what type of course you are doing. So yeah, it's a 2 year course, I would say.
It's a 2 year course, and while you were doing your MBA over there, were you always certain that you want to come back close to home and work in Mumbai?
Yeah, that's as I told you before. Mumbai has always a soft corner, and after I traveled across the country, it was always a conscious call to come and stay with parents because they are the reason why I exist, and I want to stay with them. My brother is in London. He is working for the civil services of the British government. So it's and we had a mutual pact that one of us will stay with our parents. So it has to be me because I think he's doing a great job over there. So.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, it'll be great to catch up after this because I'm in London as well. It'll be interesting to see if we can catch up.
Yeah, for sure.
Is he your elder brother or younger?
Yeah, he's 5 years elder to me.
Ah,
So
okay. Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, now coming back to what you do, HR, is that
yeah.
something you always wanted to do?
So it was not something that I always wanted to do, I would say, but that thought developed in my mind once I was working for Godrej. So I graduated from Mumbai in production engineering. I got my first job, and I was working for the aerospace and defense department of Godrej and Boys. So I have worked firsthand on missiles, on cryo engines, on some of the parts of the Boeing flight. So I was doing that, and during that time, I got a bit of interest in HR because of the unions which are involved, because the type of employees, how do they get work done, how do they comply to the labor laws. So I had a bit of interest in that, and soon it developed after getting exposure in MDI, from one of the best professors in the country, by my interest in that particular field, like the niche. Like HR within itself has a lot of verticals. In this particular vertical, it just zoomed up, and then I decided to make a career in this. So I'm into that 1.5 year into this field, and it's going great.
Interesting. So, what are the verticals within HR? Because for a person like me, HR is like one big bubble. We have no idea what exists inside that. So, yeah, can you tell a little bit more about that?
Um, yeah, before telling what the different verticals, I would like to say that the first case that people study is why in your MBA you study is that why HR does not get any respect,
Hmm.
because HR is assumed to be the easiest job on the earth, because everyone is an HR professional, everyone manages human beings at the end of the day, because even if you are managing machines, they do have a typical way of functioning, but humans are subjective. You cannot assume how are they going to react, and everyone has their own reactions. To manage that is a complex task. We try to develop systems for that, and that's how we move ahead. So HR typically has six functions, I would say, and that is broadly how I categorize it. uh, the first one is industrial relations, which may or may not exist in all parts of the in all companies, but it does exist as contracts, which is as contract labor, I would say, which is a prominent way of getting the work done nowadays. The second is talent management, which deals into succession planning and whom to move where, how to rotate them, what is their capability, how do we assess their capability, how do we map them into the system. Third is HR operations, which basically deals with the analytics and the data part. Who comes when, what is their medical insurance, how do we facilitate that process. So basically, they are the data owners. Um, Third is learning and development, which is more about trainings and how do people, what is the requirement for them to go to another level, and you facilitate those particular trainings to those people, or you send them on for a course outside, whatever deems fit. Mm, Fifth is corporate services, which some companies categorize as a part of HR and some do not, because it's a completely admin function. It is basically providing the amenities, infrastructure, facility management. So that is that we can keep on the cusp, because some companies do classify it as HR, some companies do not. And lastly, am I missing out something? Lastly, yeah, the most important thing is business partnership, which is something for a normal layman. So a normal layman has a business partner who is associated with. He's responsible for everything, explaining the policies, and so he's the face of HR to the business and the people. So these are the basic broad qualifications of HR, I would say.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I think definitely one of the best learnings about HR I've got over here in just 2 minutes. So from what I'm hearing, it sounds like there is a lot of correlationship between HR and, let's say, general management or a general manager, because it seems like there's a lot of overlap between data analysis, and at the end of the day, it's about understanding people and understanding processes and probably developing processes to suit people as well. So, is this an area that you see yourself going on for very long, or what are your thoughts around where you could go from where you are right now?
Um, See, I would say, see, I'm really fortunate to have an experience in industrial relations right now, because the level of ambiguity is very high over here. You deal uncertainties to a level which you cannot imagine. You're dealing with the person who does not know to write English, to a person who is heading the site. So that's the range of people you interact with. So that ways I've been really fortunate, and as of now, I see myself developing in this field, because I think the last 1.5 or 2 years have helped me grow as an individual. The patience that I've developed is something which is gonna which is gonna take me throughout my life, and it is gonna be a very good learning. Probably, as a person, what I am, I take my decisions spontaneously. So I would say, as of now, I think I'm good to go in this field. But yeah, you never know. Being a spontaneous person, I take sometimes impulsive decisions, and they have worked out well. So let's hope.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. Completely agreed. Um, Now, as I was doing research about you, just before this conversation, I just came across a very interesting video for,
Hmm.
I think it's called Power of Shunya.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've actually been on national television, and I know a few people who have, but when you go on their LinkedIn profiles and Twitter, that's probably the very first thing you see. They shout about it. They actually make a big deal about it. But when I went on your LinkedIn profile, it's almost hidden. It's almost at the bottom with not even a direct link. So, first of all, probably a couple of questions. Is that on purpose, or you just think it wasn't that big a deal?
No, it is. It was probably one of the most defining moments of my life. To speak up and win on a national television is something that is, is the pinnacle of achievement after, and especially when you're not from that field. So it was something which is my top achievements of life. But yeah, I'm trying to develop my LinkedIn profile. It's in updation mode, so probably it must have been on the line. So yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough. That's great. So probably you can talk a little bit more about that particular project.
So DuPont came out with a competition called Power of Shunya. So it was kind of it was one of its kind show, and there are various seasons for that particular show. So I was the participant of season one, episode one, and I won that episode. So now what happens in this particular competition is that you solve a case, you try to showcase your analytical marketing management and business development skills. They assess you in that particular case, and everyone in the country across all the B schools, they assess them. Parallelly, they try to find out the innovations in the technical field or in any other field which can solve a problem, and bring the improvement in that particular field. So the name of the show is called Power of Shunya because so zero has a lot of power. I don't need to re-emphasize on that. One added zero becomes 10. So that's what the concept was, and we wanted to bring everything to zero, like the pollution, malnutrition, whatever problems are there, they want to bring down to zero. So that was the concept. So now when these two streams, one technical and one management, are parallelly going together, they shortlisted best 24 candidates from across the country having the best technological innovations, and they partnered each of them with the best 24 management graduates from that country. So I was paired with a person who was doing a PhD from IRI, that is Indian Agricultural Research Institute, and so that's how the competition was. I was supposed to present a marketing plan and a business plan, sorry, for that particular product, which I had never heard in my life, called nutraceutical ingredient for curbing malnutrition. So those words were like, I was taken aback. I'm like, how am I going to present this on national television when I don't know the meaning of those words? But yeah, at the end of the day, as I told you, I just worked hard towards it, and yeah, I emerged as the winner of the first ever episode. Although I was I was shortlisted in the final four as well,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, the team that I beat in the first episode came back as the wildcard entry and got the first prize. To And the first prize was quite interesting, by the way. You had a private jet visit to DuPont headquarters, and you could actually see all the Nobel Prize winners and have coffee with them. So that was something that I missed out on, but yeah, that was something that I gained as well. And this was during the first year of MBA. It was, as soon as I entered. So it was coming on national television was the tick off list, was one of my to do list for MBA, and I just did that in the first 3 months. So that's something I'm proud of.
Yeah, so you were one of the 24 shortlisted across the country.
Yes, across the country, and then so every episode had three candidates
Yeah.
to present their plan. So I was one of the three in the first three. I won that particular episode. So out of these 24, they shortlisted three finally to to present their case and win the entire competition. I was one of those three as well.
Wow.
So out of everyone in the country, it was finally three people who had to present their plan along with the technical partners, and yeah, I was one of them. Plus, there was a
Wow.
wild card entry, which obviously stole the show. But yeah, that happens. That is life. Just need to go on.
Absolutely. So for anyone who wants to check out that, you can just go on YouTube, search for Power of Shunya Season 1, Episode 2, I think. Anyway, you can
Yeah.
search, and maybe you can search for Sanket Kshatriya, and it'll come up. So Sanket, you were one of the 24. I mean, that still amazes. It's still amazing me. What are the other kind of institutions or management institutions were you against?
So I was probably one of the youngest of all the management graduates, and also my partner who was a technical was 10 years elder to me. So she was doing her PhD, and so when she graduated, I was probably not even in my 10th grade. So that was the age difference between us. And So the other institutes were IIM Ahmedabad, ISB Hyderabad, ISB Mohali, um, FMS, IIM Kolkata. So they were all premier B schools of the country. IIM ABC, LIK, and ISB FMS.
Nice, nice. No, that is great to hear. And talking of the IMs, because when I was in India, of course, I wrote CAT. Of course, I tried for the IMs. A lot of people do. But when you watch such shows, or when you actually listen to people like you, it makes you realize that there's so much talent which is not necessarily something that's existing in the IMs. What are your thoughts? What is your view on, based on what you have seen, the comparison between students who study in IMs versus students who study in other pretty good institutions? They may not be IMs, they also may not be local institutions, but they're pretty good institutions. What are your thoughts?
So I would like to compare, like it's a straightforward comparison of, we can say, MDI. MDI is not a very good known. It's not a famous. It's a known institute. It's not a famous institute. So when I go outside, I have to tell what is MDI. On the contrary, when I tell I am Ahmedabad or Bangalore or Kolkata, obviously everyone connects to it. So it's just about the awareness. So when I compare MDI and IIM, my colleagues are from IIMs. So I work with those people now during my internship. Now, even after I graduated, so yes, there are benefits of being from those premier institutes, because they are old, and their alma mater is, and their the alumni. I would
Mm.
say alumni helps. The alumni is one of the leading factor for these institutes to progress, and because they are old, their alumni have developed, and have made the institute famous across the world. So that's where the comparison. We being in quite a young institute, 1994 is 1995, we started our first first batch of MDI passed out, and now people are slowly getting to know about MDI, because the Motorola chief of India is from MDI. So like this is the basic difference about awareness within the people, a general people, a layman, I would say. But people who are in management field, they obviously know that MDI, FMS, other B schools are also really good, and they are on par with these schools.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree with you, on the fact that number one, the brand value, of course, carries some weightage, and number two, which is a more practical one, is that they have a stronger alumni network, which obviously translates to probably more opportunities coming out of it. But in terms of the education, or in terms of, what you actually go through in a couple of years, um, do you think there is a valid reason for there to be a strong difference between IAMs, ISP, as compared to maybe MDI?
Um, I would not say so, because if you see the curriculum that has been followed in both the B schools, because we work together, so we normally chat about the curriculums, the companies that come, the competitions that happen, and everything seems to go hand in hand. It's just the professors which are different. The cycle is the same. So whenever a competition is happening in IMs, the same competition is happening in MDI as well, because it's a pan India competition. So there's not much of a difference, I would say, in terms of the education, in terms of the exposure,
Hmm.
in terms of the opportunities that you get. Okay, yes, I would say that IIMs will have an upper advantage in terms of the exposure that they have, but the quantification would be what, around 10 to 20%. That's it, and that reason we can again boil down to the alumni network and the awareness of people.
Hmm. Absolutely. Did you try for IIMs?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I could not get through because again, this is a typical problem with the B school selection procedure in India, where normalization, according to me, is not proper. I may be a bit biased towards it, but that's how I feel, because what happens is that your cat. So different colleges have different weightages of your CAT score, your 10th grade score, your 12th grade score, your graduation score, GD and PI. So these are the elements that go to the final ranking of a particular for a particular school, and these parameters are different for different schools. So what happens is that being from Mumbai University, you even if you are in the top percentile, like for example, my graduation score was 71 in production engineering, which is a good enough score for me to be in the top 10 of the class. But when compared to a computer engineer, probably down south, it is much less, because there the engineering people either get the scores in CGPA, GPS, or the percentages are 80, 81. So there I lack. So even if I get 99.8, 99.5 percentile, I might not get a short call, not even a call from IM ABCLI. So this was one of the reasons that I made a conscious call of not trying again for IIMs and just going ahead with MDI, because, and also MDA was not is a very good B school, I would say. It is one of the best in India. So it was a fair decision, I would say. So the main catch here is the normalization of scores, which is a bit different, and it's difficult to understand. Even after I've graduated, it's difficult for me to understand.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's I think I don't know if it's done on purpose or I don't know if it's something that's just evolved over time, but the system has become so complicated, and I didn't get into IIMs, and that's the reason I never tried again. In fact, for me, trying in MBA schools outside India was a much simpler process
Ah,
than in India.
I know. I would. I precisely. So what happened was that I had my friends who were giving GMAT, going to ESSEC, going to HEC, going to Duke, and here I was thinking what to do. So I thought that let's take a difficult way ahead. Let's take a difficult way ahead. Let's find out what to do. First year I gave CAT, I was not successful. Second year I gave CAT, yes, I scored somewhere around 99 percentile. Yes, I got into a good B school, and that's how I had it. Getting into a B school outside India is a simpler procedure, because GMAT is a comparatively an easier exam. GRE is also an easier exam as compared to CAT, but CAT on the other hand is has its own adaptive way, and it keeps on changing every year. So you cannot predict the CAT. You have to get into those preparations completely by your whole and soul, and then only you are able to crack CAT.
Right, absolutely. So, to get into MDI, you still need to give the CAT, or do they also have a different exam that you could give?
So MDI, unlike other B schools of India like IIMs, has no reservation. So the students there are only on merit. So you have to give CAT compulsory to get, and there are no reservations. Everyone is a general category student. So all 360 students are from general category. All are on merit. All have given the CAT, and yes, majority. If you take out the median of the percentile, it must be somewhere around 99.2, I would say.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Great. Now, coming back to what you do, HR, how big is your HR team in your company?
In the company per se, the team is quite huge. That those numbers, which would roughly be around uh, 200, 250. But I would not say it for sure because I am not sure about it. But I can say very specifically about my side. We are a team of 40 and catering to around 2,500 full-time employees in the roles of Reliance and around 2,500 contract laborers. So it's roughly a ratio of uh, 5,000 to 40, which is like 1:800.
Wow, I understand. Okay, cool. Before besides your internship, did you have any HR experience?
No, I did not have any HR experience because as I mentioned before, I was completely into the manufacturing of aerospace and defense products for Godrej, which were on contract. So this was a contract given by the DRDO and ISRO. So these are the you know uh, Indian Space Research Organization and Defense Research and Development Organization. So these companies give their products, their contracts to Godrej. Godrej manufactures it from them for them, and then we just send it to DRDO and ISRO. So there was no HR experience at all over there. It was just the exposure to how things are. It's just that something that you get interested in. So I was quite interested in different types of workers because they were in front of my eye. There were like four different types of workers. I used to wonder, how come this formation? What is the reason behind that? So that was the first little inquisitiveness regarding HR which was developed, and that inquisitiveness also helped me to get through my interviews in during internship, during my final assessment, during my MDI interview was based on that. So yes, that little inquisitiveness was there, but it was all a personal exposure and interest.
Okay. Did you do anything else to prepare yourself? I mean, any particular books or any particular courses, or you just naturally fell into it?
No, it was a tough process. As a person, I had a philosophy of not reading books. So why? Because I thought that in India normally it's all about scoring more, and that helps. So during my childhood, I refrained from reading novels and books because I thought I would rather read my textbook and score more rather than reading a novel. So this really hampered my verbal ability and my score during my first CAT. So after that, I knew that this is my weak area and have to work really hard to improve it. And since then, I've started reading. I started reading books which were of interest to me. I read 3 4 books, which is I know right now, which is a count of 3 4 a year is not a big deal. But at that time, it was something really great for me because I had never read books in my life. After the age of 21, I read my first book called The Palace of Illusions. So there is something surprising, but yes, I had to do that in order to improve it. And I started reading newspapers, I started reading editorials so that I can understand what the author or is trying to say, and I can deduce, I can comprehend and answer the questions which come across later on. So these were few things that I did, and it resulted in me getting 99.5 percentile in verbal. Surprisingly, my verbal score was more than my quant score, despite quant being one of my fortes. I've scored like 100 percentile a lot of times. I've scored 96 in my CET. I've scored a lot in my 10th grade and 12th grade in mathematics. But yeah, so that's how it is.
Great, great. What kind of books do you read now?
So right now so as I told you, it has been it is the knack of reading books is a very nascent one. It's not a completely developed one, but I'm reading. So I'm really intrigued by the evolution of human beings.
Mm.
So there are 2 3 books which have coincidentally fallen in line with this thought. So the first book I read was the Chariots of the God
Hmm.
by Eric Van Daniken. So this book tells that 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 Earth was invaded by aliens, and it gives specific evidences as to how it is so. And once you read it, you will actually feel that yes, this cannot exist, because Indian mythology as well, if you see, everything comes from the sky. Jesus also came from the sky,
Yeah.
and a child was born from the sun. But that was not, and that is written because human beings know it. But it is not that. It is some advanced, I would not say human being, extraterrestrial being, which stays outside, came here and did it. A very very good example was of that, as was also shown in the book, where they tried to, where an aeroplane was passed by a place having a drought. Those people made the aeroplane and they were worshipping it in a remote part of the world.
Mm.
So that's how we worship, and that the thought has evolved. So it's an old book. In line with that, I read Homo sapiens, which is a factual history of how humans developed. And again, that book it just, the grip of that book. It is a long book for a person like me who is a beginner. It's like a 400-450 page book. But yes, I it just caught on to me, and I just completed it. The book is called Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, the historian. And now I'm on to the Bhagavad-Gita, which is more a bit philosophical, but yes, it gives you the perspective about life and stuff. So
Interesting.
this is how I've started reading.
That's great. It's fascinating. In fact, I am reading *Sapiens* right now.
We can discuss it offline then, because there's a lot of things, which I love about that book. There have been various travels where I've just started discussions with people, and they're
Hmm.
like, yeah, I'd like to know about it. Yes, how did we come into existence? Because you must have read it. It's human history that we know of is only of 200 years, but it's
Yeah.
billions of years old. And the thought that comes that it's not, we have domesticated agriculture has domesticated us, and that's the fact. If you read those, I don't know whether you've reached that particular part of the book or no, but if you have, then you'll also get that feeling once you read that.
Yeah, no, I haven't reached that yet. I think I'm still in the beginning, because I was finishing up on my previous book. In fact, I was reading Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Some could say it's way too late, but yeah, what the hell? I haven't read it before, so I was
If you
finishing
say
up on
you're
that.
too late, I'm not even born, because I've not even thought of it.
No, I mean, I completely agree with you. That was very similar state of affairs with me as well. When I was growing up, books were probably limited. When you're in school, you probably get through, some Enid Blyton books. But as you go on, it tends to get limited. You focus a lot on studies. But then even I've started probably reading a little more actively just in a year or two. And I agree. I read The Palace of Illusions. It's a great book. If you read that, probably you should even try Karna's Wife. That's another good book that's connected to it.
Good suggestion. I'll just make a note of it, because I'm
Yeah,
interested in the mythology. So Karna's wife, I will definitely. The next read would be Karna's wife.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in fact, we can take this offline later as well. But if you need any book recommendations, you can ask me. My wife is a massive book lover and book reader. We have like a massive library in our own house of books, and I've read probably just 1% of them.
Good to know, and it's always good to. I wonder the conversations that you must be having, the wide range of thoughts of a well-read person and a nascent person, and I totally relate. I relate to that. I'm in that 1% who does not know a lot of things, but yeah, still, that's how it can go on.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and it's a great conversation to have. We debate a lot on pretty much every topic, philosophical or spiritual, or even history. And she finished her MBA last year as well, so it's a good perspective.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, good, great talking on that that subject. Um, Coming back to some of the aspects, I just wanted to understand better. So, um, what were some of the key insights, out of your time at MDI? So let's say someone is going to MDI this year or next year. What are some of your tips or advice you would want to give to them?
Um, so it's so you have to be prepared for everything that is thrown at you. The B school life in India is so fast that you normally sleep at 3 in the night and you wake up at 8 in the morning to attend a class. And if you don't attend the class, you get grade dumps. And grades are really that's something that matters. So you have to be up for everything. The managing uncertainties, and you have to go out confidently even though you are underprepared. No, I would like to quote this example. I had my a complete day of interviews lined up before my Power of Shunya final presentation on national television. Next day morning, I'm supposed to go to present on national television, and the day before that, at 1 o'clock in the night, I have my interview. So I had to do it. I had to do it. So that's how it is. You will get a lot of opportunities in competitions. Participate well, choose your team wisely, and just nail them. They help a lot. They help a lot. They help as a talking point. They help you to build your CV. They help finally also to earn. Thirdly, never ever miss the exchange program. An exchange program. I went on an exchange to Vienna. I went on a Euro trip for 3 months, I can say, and it was the best time I ever had in my life. So out of the two best years, if I have to select, the most shining parts, it would be those 3 months where I was all on my own. I was traveling across Europe. I visited almost all countries of Europe in a span of 3 months. So never ever miss the exchange program. And friendships will prevail despite competitions during your GDs, PIs. You will be alongside your best friends. You'll have to compete with them. But yes, the bonds that you will develop over the 2 years will definitely surpass and prevail those competitions. So, and finally, choose your project team wisely. There are a lot of people with cognitive dissonance who don't want to work, and just pass on their work, because it's at the end of the day you're gonna get rated as a team. So even if three people work in a 6-member team, you're all gonna get the same marks. So choose your project team wisely always. That is the biggest takeaway from this particular key insights about B school in India.
Good points. Good points. Thanks a lot for that. On the flip side, what are some of your biggest regrets or learning points? Do you have any regrets?
Yes, as I told you, when these so people so the regret that I had was that I should not have given up on preparing for premier engineering schools in India. So as I told you before, being in Mumbai, your cocoon is small. It's either Mumbai or IITs. In between, the range is quite empty. But after going to MD, I realized the range in between is comprised of really smart people. So the regret I had, I realized that after I reached MDI, that I should not have given up on preparing for JEE or AIEEE, and I should not have settled for any college in Mumbai. Although the colleges in Mumbai are really good, but there are better colleges outside. So this may be a typical or an advice for people who are doing the 11th, 12th, to not give up on their, because a year of sacrifice can give you 40 years of happiness or 40 years of satisfaction, which matters more if you realize. Secondly, again, I started reading a bit late. So when these people, some smart people around me, were having very interesting conversations, I used to be the listener and I used to grasp everything. I could not contribute sometimes. That is one of the regret. Um, and one of the key learning of this particular there was this particular course called Journey to Self. So in that particular course, you everyone writes anonymous feedbacks about you. The professor compiles feedbacks, all the feedbacks about you, and gives it to you. So there are 35 people in your class who write about you, and as adjectives, as as pointers. The professor compiles them and gives it to you. That's a reality check which you have quite early in your life, and that changes a lot of things for you.
That's a good point. I think personally also that's an aspect which I felt missing when I was growing up, the constant feedback or the loop of feedback, because it's very easy to get lost in a stream of one-directional thinking, and among being among the similar kind of people, that you possibly don't get different kind of exposure, and you possibly don't get feedback on your own very early on, and then probably I wouldn't say it's too late, but it's definitely, you feel like you wasted a few years. You wish you would have got that feedback earlier.
Yes, just precisely, just like I told you before. Wish I could have, if I would have not given up on preparing for the good engineering schools of India, I would have been 4 years ahead of what I am right now, which would have been definitely a plus for me. So that's the feedback that you get, but it's okay. It's good that you realize it late than never, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. No, good point. Good point. Another question is is what are some of your top tips for those, career tips for those who are either considering to do the MBA or are doing their MBA right now? What are the points people need to consider when they are thinking of choosing a particular career path?
Normally what happens is people get swayed by the suggestions that they receive all over. Likewise, it happens with my mom, who does not know much, but then when five people come and tell her that beta IT engineering karna chahiye, she comes and tells me, you have got so good marks, why are you going into production? So majority of the people make a mistake over there in the first part. They don't listen to their inner conscience or what they want to do. They get swayed with the public expectations and the peer pressure. So that is something, that should not happen, because a decision like that can can make or mar your career. Similarly with your career, because these things add up to your career, it hampers. So have your own conscience. Don't get swayed away by what people tell you, and a path that a person has followed to reach a particular level that you admire, it might not be the same for you. You have to work out in a different way, because that person is different, you are different. Don't try to emulate someone. These are two main things which I have realized over the past years, because I try to do one thing. I got inspired by this friend of mine who won international competition of L'Oreal. So I tried my best to participate in all the competitions, but I went with the aspiration of winning that particular competition. But then, yes, DuPont happened. I was fortunate enough, but I did not go with the viewpoint of targeting DuPont. My target was L'Oreal. But yes, good that in the time frame I could just adjust my requirements and adjust my aspirations and just go ahead, because I know that I don't know anything about fashion. So there is no point in me going to participate in the L'Oreal, because I'm not going to get selected. So don't get swayed away. Follow your own dreams. Follow your own path. Listen to yourself, and always seek for feedback, constructive feedback. Even if the feedback is not constructive, take it patiently, absorb it, think what you can do to improve that, and try to improve it. These are three basic tips that I have.
No, that's great. Perfect. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Sanket. Yep. Okay, so we're good. Is there anything else you wish I had asked you?
But no, I would just like to guide people who are MBA aspirants in India. Because there's a lot of subjectivity involved. Don't lose focus. Prepare for CAT, and do speak up in the GD, because GDs are really, the group discussions are the make or break points for majority of the people. So if you make it, it's good. And interviews, despite, I think, even the best HR professional in the world would not be able to tell you about an interview, because interviews are subjective. And being in the field of HR, I know it. It's interviews are really subjective. Yes, you have to be frank. Yes, you have to be spontaneous. But yes, at the end of the day, you cannot predict an outcome of an interview. You just leave it to the person. You just send good vibes across, and that should be it. You don't worry about the interview. Nail the GD and prepare for CAT religiously. That is what my advice is for the people who want to get into a Premier B School of India.
Perfect. Great tips. How can people find out more about you, and how can they get in touch with you?
Um, I'm actively I'm active on Twitter. I'm active on Facebook. I'm also starting to write blogs, but that is something that I miss. You can follow that later on, but I will just keep you updated if I write some in the coming year. That's my target of the new year. And Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Snapchat. You can add me on Snapchat. I'm quite active on Snapchat. Uh, so these are a few ways to be in touch with me.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Sanket. Thanks a lot for your time today. And good luck for everything.
Thanks a lot, mate. It was nice talking to you. Hope my advice to some of the people will be of help. And if there's anything that I can help the required people, just drop me a message on Facebook. I'll be ready to reply. My name is Sanket Kshatriya, and yes, that's all about it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening to the MBA Jam. Now it's time for you to take action. Head over to the mbajam.com to listen to more episodes and discover great resources.